Welcome back to another week of furniture refinishing, and this week I have a bit of a wild project. I saw this piece on Facebook Marketplace as a set with another dresser. They're not matching by any means, and I really fell in love with the second dresser, but this one was kind of a package deal. They were selling both for one price, and it was a really, really good price. And I would have paid that full price for that other piece. So I'm just considering this one as a freebie. And it's one of those pieces that makes you do a double take, but for all the wrong reasons. I think it's pretty obvious to see why. There are stickers all over the front. One of the drawer faces is off. It is scratched and broken. There's lots of areas of veneer that are coming loose, have broken free, or are missing altogether. And very obviously, it's missing several of the handles. With all of these things combined, this piece I know is going to be a lot of work. Not due to its size, not due to the finish that I'm looking to do on this, but more so because of the magnitude of repairs that need to be done. But with all that being said, I do have some special plans for this piece. So follow along this week and watch as I turn this absolutely hideous piece of trash into a treasure that somebody hopefully will want to take home and showcase in their house. This dresser is in desperate need of a cleaning, but more so than that, I think I want to first try to address some of the repairs that I know need to be made to it. One of which being this drawer. Luckily, all these drawers are held together with dovetails and they've just come apart. It is a relatively easy thing to repair them, glue them back together, and clamp them until that glue sets up and it's sturdy and good as new. I was really lucky that I had all of the components of this drawer box that did come apart. If any of these pieces were missing, that would be a whole other challenge on its own. While this piece is an absolutely dirty, dusty mess, I much prefer to deal with loose dust like this. It cleans and vacuums up really easily. Now, if it were something like cigarette smoke, that kind of residue, that's a lot harder to get out. And this one does not have any of those lingering smells that I'm worried about. With this piece flipped on its back, I can start to get more of a game plan of how I'm going to address the broken and missing pieces of this base. This is just probably about a 1/4 inch thick piece of veneer that's on the side panel, and it was being held with rigidity with just a trim board like this. It's missing on this side and the other side was loose. There is this front plate right here, but there also would have been like a kick plate right here that would have gone and covered up this big open gap. That is missing altogether. I don't have that piece. That's not that big of a deal. I think what my plan is going to be is to actually cut this base down so that about 3 to 4 inches is taken off. I will basically level it out with this area right here, and I will build supports on the underneath side and build and create a new base to support this dresser, give it a little bit more height and a little bit more visual interest. In my personal opinion, it's not my absolute favorite look when the dresser just sits directly on its side without any visible leg or base, anything like that. Before I start cutting the sides down, I do want to address this front trim board. It's just sagging a little bit. The screws are giving out. I'm going to go ahead and glue and reaffix it so that it's a lot more secure and tighter. And once that's done, I can assess where I want to cut along this side edge. Along both side edges on this top, the veneer is just so loose that it just made more sense to remove it all together. Everything underneath this veneer is solid wood, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to go ahead and take off the handles and begin the tedious process of unsticking all of these stickers. A heat gun really does help with this. You do have to be a little bit careful because the heat will naturally make that finish a little bit softer, so it's a lot easier to gouge. I am painting this piece in the end, but I still want to try to minimize the amount of damage that I will have to fix or repair in the end. One of my go-to cleaning solutions is a TSP alternative. It comes highly concentrated and I just dilute it with water in this spray bottle. I use a bucket of clean water and a microfiber towel to wipe it all back, and I will wipe it twice with clean water to make sure I remove all of the residue and built up grime, especially on pieces like this. When it comes to filling hardware holes or some more major repairs that need to be made, my go-to that I always reach for is a Bondo style filler. It's a very durable, quick drying filler. It dries with a chemical process. So once you mix those two parts together, your clock is ticking. You have to work pretty quickly. And once you have those two components mixed together and the color is a uniform color, you can go ahead and fill. I always like to start with my hardware holes because I almost always need to do 2 rounds of this. So the quicker I can get that on and get it curing, the quicker I can get that second coat on and finish up the filling process. I also like to use this where there are chips in the veneer, especially on the top or the sides, because it's so durable. It's the next day and all of my filler has fully cured and dried. I am going to take my orbital sander with 120 grit sandpaper and smooth out all of the filled areas, as well as roughen up and give the existing finish a little bit of micro texture. This will allow my primer and paint to stick well. I'm also going to try to smooth out any imperfections, any scratches, gouges, or texture in the existing finish. I've kicked up quite a bit of dust again, so I'm going to take a damp towel and just really wipe everything back so that all of that dust gets picked up again. And then I will go ahead and put the drawers back into the slots that they go. With the main body of the dresser put back together, I want to start building the legs and base. I'm opting to go with a longer style leg. I think it will balance this shorter dresser pretty well. I went with a 7-inch. Typically I stick around 6 inches, but for this one, I don't know why, but a slightly taller size was calling to me. With all 4 legs cut to exactly the same height and a taper on the front too, I'm going to now measure my long pieces to finish out that base, marking each measurement and carefully cutting so that everything is exactly the same size. Like you've seen me use before, I really do like to use the pocket hole system to attach all these legs together. It's pretty easy and very, very durable. In order to join all of the components together, I do drill 2 pocket holes on either end of the front and back and the 2 sides, as well as drilling holes along the long edges of those pieces in order to affix this base to the actual bottom of the dresser itself when it's all said and done. At this point, everything gets a really good smooth sanding with a 220 grit sandpaper. I want to get all those rough edges out and just make sure everything is nice and prepped for stain. For the actual stain itself, I am using a water-based special walnut, painting this on pretty thick and working quickly. Once I have one side completely saturated, I will take a clean paper towel and wipe it all back. I like to work with one side at a time just to prevent this product from drying out too quickly on me. Now that I have a completely blank slate of a dresser, it's been repaired, it's been sanded down, all of the areas that I wanted to remove have been removed. I am now going to move on to the exciting next step, which is the creative design process. A couple months ago, I did do a set of nightstands with some floral decals on them, and when I picked up this dresser, number one, I saw that it was a nice blank slate as far as the shape of it went. It has a lot of smooth sides. The drawers are all smooth. They all butt up against each other. It's just a really good candidate for something like this. And then number two, I kind of got inspiration from all of those stickers that were stuck on from obviously some kid that had had this dresser before. And I thought, what's kind of an elevated, fun way of adding on some character, some flair to this piece? And that would be using these molds filled with this resin product. It's a 2-part resin system. You mix the two together and it dries and cures very quickly. I do have this silicone mold that is reusable that I used in the past. And I am just filling this mold, one mold at a time, letting it dry, popping them all out, and I am going to create a freeform organic detail of flowers and leaves cascading down the front and maybe the sides of the dresser. I haven't decided yet. After putting all these molds together and letting them fully cure, I am going to do a dry run and just kind of lay out the different patterns on the face of the dresser while it's sitting on its back, so that I get a sense of where I want everything to be. For this reason, I wanted to make sure that none of the decals are going to get in the way of the hardware, the handles and knobs that I'm going to be installing on the drawer faces. So I did go ahead and pre-drill the holes for the hardware so that I can strategically place these resin pieces so that they don't interfere with any of that. I'm going to take my time, go slowly, and really figure out where I want each piece to go. And if I need more leaves or sticks or one or another of the flowers, I can always revisit my molds and create more of one or the other section in order to fill out the design that I'm looking to achieve. When I created this look previously, I did use a 2-part epoxy quick drying glue, and it worked perfectly for this application. That glue did dry pretty quickly, and it did a fantastic job really holding those resin details onto that wooden surface. If there's one tip that I would suggest, it would be to use plenty of glue itself. I found even if there was a little bit of spill out underneath the flowers or leaves, it actually added to the look and made it look a little bit more like a carved detail and blended that seamlessly into the wood of the dresser. It is messy, so definitely use some disposable gloves and a disposable surface to mix this product on because it will create a very sticky mess. It's the next morning and the glue has completely cured. Everything is dry and ready for primer and paint. Today, I am going to be using a bin shellac primer. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, the adhesive qualities are wonderful, so it will not only stick to the wood, it will also stick to those resin flowers without a problem. Secondly, it's great at blocking tannins, bleed through, anything like that, as well as any sort of lingering smells that might be on the piece. It's just a really well-rounded primer. It does require either a ammonia cleanup or a denatured alcohol cleanup. Do not just try to use soap and water to clean this product up. I'm going to filter it into my sprayer and spray it on this piece. This will be the easiest option, especially with trying to get into all those details on the flowers and stems and leaves on this piece. I expect to do at least 2 coats of it, and I guarantee you I'm gonna have a little bit more filling to do, especially on those scratched and gouged areas on the top. White primer does an excellent job at highlighting areas that need a little bit more attention, and I can do that in between the two coats without a problem. As I expected, there's quite a bit of filling that needs to be done on the top and a little bit on the sides of this dresser. I am going to grab this premium wood filler. It is just a white, so it will not show up a whole lot, but it does a really good job filling in areas that need to be filled. Minor scratches like this, I would typically grab my glazing putty. This is that bright red filler that you see me use sometimes. However, I think my packaging got a hole because it's really dried out and just difficult to use right now. So I need to pick up a whole new tube of this, and I just don't have any. So I'm going to reach for this other filler. I really was going back and forth on what color of paint to paint this piece. And I did settle with this custom mixed dark moody green. It's almost like a nice botanical color, and I think it'll play really nicely with the theme of the dresser that I'm going with. Green is a really popular color right now, and it's almost being used as a neutral that isn't really neutral. This dark moody color will play off of the different shapes of the flowers and leaves. When I painted the previous nightstands, I also opted for a darker color and absolutely loved the finish. A light sanding between each and every coat will ensure a really smooth finish in the end. The backer board on this particular dresser was not in great condition. It was a compressed MDF material and failing in certain areas. I don't always replace the backer boards on vintage pieces, especially if they have any sort of name stamping on them, but this one was calling for it. I took a 1/4 inch piece of plywood that I had in my stash, cut it to size, and simply stapled it to the back for a fresh and clean look. I ordered in some hardware that I thought played off of the whole theme of this dresser really well. They're meant to look aged and have a slight design to them. I also picked up some more of this drawer liner that I've used in the past and absolutely love the print. I think it plays nicely with the botanical theme, with the leaves and the flowers. There's some birds in there. Overall, I think it ties the look together and provides a really fun pop of pattern when somebody opens the drawers. It's hard to remember where we started, but let's remind ourselves this blonde dresser was rough. Oh my goodness, what a transformation. It was so dirty. The finish was failing. So many scratches, dings, dents, failing veneer. Those side panels definitely had a lot of damage on the bottom. And with that one drawer that was completely falling apart, disassembled, this piece was rough and really would have been looked over by almost anyone. But I'd say it had potential. This is such a dreamy dresser. I am so happy with it. It's so smooth and stunning. That satin finish plays so nicely off of the details of those flowers and those leaves. I think this piece looks really high-end, really pretty, really elevated. I know I've done this look before and wanted to jump back into it because it was so fun the first time, and every piece that I do this to comes out just a little bit different. Comment down below, let me know what you think. Was this the right look for this piece? I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.